All right, time to unset. How you doing today? How you feeling? That's enough small talk. Let's get after it. Welcome to the Mind Unset, in our once-a-month segment called Strong Coffee, Strong Women, where I get to share a cup of fantastic Java with some badass women. Today's episode is brought to you by my favorite coffee company, Raleigh-based Larry's Coffee. Larry's is organic, fair trade, shade-grown coffee. They import directly from the farmers. The roastery uses solar power and rainwater. And there's a Johnny Cash quote on the bottom of the bag. What's not to love? The company's fabulous. So is the coffee. Check them out at larryscoffee.com or on Instagram at Larry's Coffee. I'm super excited about my guest today. If you looked at her life to this point, it has all the elements of a David Allan Coe song. Heartache, rebellion, and most importantly, resurgence. She's a singer-songwriter, actress, mom, and so much more. Please sit back and enjoy my talk with my dear friend, the lovely, talented, and hilariously funny Tayla Lynn. Tayla Lynn, thank you for being here. Good morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Man, it's good to see your face.
You too. I like your, nobody can see this, but you've got on some clear rimmed glasses. I like them.
You like
You're
that?
getting older having to wear the old glasses.
Oh my God, I was having to wear them before. Are you kidding? It's just, can you believe it? 20 years.
No, I was thinking this morning, I was talking to Courier, who you know, and I was telling her we were doing this podcast. I was like, how crazy is it that we met 20 years ago? It was more than 20 years ago, actually. I think I was like maybe... 23 or 24? I don't even know how old are you?
I think it was 2001. I think it was right at the end of 2000.
I got sober in 2004. That's right. You know exactly what year it is because you had a lot of life going on then too.
Yeah. So, oh yeah. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's not this podcast.
No, it is. That's what we're going to talk about. This is we're in it. So we might as well just,
I know I was being funny. Like, that's not this podcast. Like, we're not going to go into your stuff. Is that right?
No, we can. Hey, look, we can absolutely. This is the whole point of this whole thing. First of all, Strong Coffee, Strong Women. You're the first guest on Strong Coffee, Strong Women. How cool is that?
I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah. And how's your coffee? How's your coffee there?
It's awesome. Thank you so much for sending that to me. We have been using it in our espresso machine. So I've been drinking it as lattes, cappuccinos, and just as espresso shots in my little thing.
Nice. It's my favorite. And the cool thing about Larry's Coffee is you should see the company. They run out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. They use rainwater collection, solar power.
Shut up.
No, I swear. All their coffee is organic, fair trade, shade grown. That's why I love them. And the bag. Okay, can we talk about the bag?
Let's talk about the bag.
It has a Johnny Cash quote on the bottom. How do you not love a coffee with a Johnny Cash quote on the bottom?
Those are the people for us. I would like to go visit them. When I go do a show out there, I'm going to go there.
That's why I sent it to you, because it's a badass coffee from a badass company. So great. Welcome to Strong Coffee, Strong Women. You've had a killer couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Yes, very busy. We had, it was Meemaw's 90th birthday, Loretta Lynn, Meemaw.
Yeah, let's get everybody up to speed. Tayla Lynn, the last name Lynn, in case you don't know, her Meemaw, if I may, is Loretta Lynn, the legendary country icon. I mean, we can say icon. I mean, she is the matriarch of country music. We have
to. Talk about strong women, strong coffee. I mean, That's the woman. Yeah.
That's the tie-in here. That's the tie-in. So
yes,
happy birthday. 90, April 14th.
90. And you know what she said when they had that? So we celebrated her birthday for, a full week. We had parties everywhere and concerts. And so the Grand Ole Opry called and asked us if we would do a show for her birthday. And I went up to tell her about it. And the only question she had was, she said, they're not going to tell everybody how old I am, are they? So still at 90, she's a showman. She's not got time for people to know, how old she is. Because she told a lie for a long time saying she was born like in 1936, I think. And now it's all, it's all coming out.
Yeah, well, that's the internet age, right? It's like, wait a minute, Miss Loretta. But she is from that spot where she's loud. Like that's the day and age where
Yes.
nobody told their age, right? Like Tammy,
My
all
gosh.
Tammy
None
Wynette
of
and all that.
them.
None of them. They were just like, they were the
No.
pioneers of all this.
Well, and it worked for them too. I mean, she made me say I was 16 until I was 30. I mean, they set it up for a long time.
Well, you don't look much more than 18 right now. So
It's
it's not
true,
hard to
Chris. I
believe.
mean, I love Botox. I'm not against getting some Botox and some plastic surgery. My kids ruined can I be myself on here or do you want me to be more
No, man,
PC?
you can be whatever the hell you want.
Well,
You can even curse if you like.
great. I'm not going to, but you said I had a killer couple weeks. So we had the Opry, which was so amazing, and we can go more into that. But the next morning, I have two kids, as you know, they're 9 and 6, and they use my body as baby bottles. These boobs were just baby bottles for them for a year each. And so I had to go in at 6 a.m. the next morning and get my baby bottles, reduced and turned into little pacifiers. Too much.
All right. Well, thank you for coming. I don't really know how we follow that.
Out.
No, I'm not.
Don't
no,
edit that out. You said it was killer.
Are you kidding? I'm
And
not editing that out. That's money.
No.
So, and how the hell were you you just posted a picture of yourself in a bikini on the river. So like,
right.
Is that?
I just covered up the bandages with the bikini. Like I had them like strategically placed. And I said to my husband, I said, listen, I'm going to have to post this picture of myself in this bikini because it's at a good angle, first of all. And I've learned about Facetune, second of all. Because you can be strong and still edit your pictures, okay? I don't want women to think that you can't be strong and edit yourself a bit to feel your best. And I was able to cover these beautiful little babies now with a little tiny pink bikini. I was so excited.
I'm psyched for you. I think
Thank you.
Great.
I couldn't use any pain medication again. So it was insane. It has been a crazy week for sure.
Well, you look absolutely fabulous. So I want to hear.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I want to hear. It was your first time on the Opry, right? Like for anyone in the country music business, which we'll talk about this later because you're so much more. But what was it like getting on that stage?
You've known me for a long time, and I get a lot of anxiety and go sort of insane before I go sing or do anything important. And there was something about the Grand Ole Opry and the respect that my grandmother has always paid to them that was so calming for me. And then I went out there, and the minute I hit that stage, I was so present and so happy. And Meemaw said, when you're in that circle, just stand there and be in that moment. And I had her little jumpsuit on from the 70s. And I just stood there and took it all in. And I thanked God. And, my mom, passed away. And so I gave her a little wink. And it was one of the the happiest, most joyous, thankful moments of all time. Because it may not ever happen again. You never know. And I soaked it up for all it was worth. I mean, it was just so joy-filled. There was not one negative, weird thing about it. And I tend to bring a lot of weirdness to situations. And I didn't that day.
And, there's so much to unpack there. First of all, the jumpsuit. All right. I went on and watched some clips from your Facebook page. And the first thing that struck me was that comment when you said that you were at complete peace. You didn't bring anxiety into it or anything like that. That was one of the first comments I read that someone said, you looked so absolutely peaceful up there that there wasn't an ounce of angst or worry. You just came out and owned it. And because I do the same. I tend to do the same. Like I tend to ramp things up and make them, add an anxiety level to them.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole show, The Mind Unset, is about. Like unsetting that crap and talking to people like you who figured out a way to do that. And I think, because when I played Farm Aid, I had the same, I was walking out on the stage right before Arlo Guthrie. And,
huge.
It was, so that we tend to ramp this stuff up and ruin that moment, but it didn't see that for you at all in any of those performances. How many songs did you sing?
Oh, we did 4. And going back to what you said, how many moments have we ruined by doing that. Like what you're saying is like, and I'll be a crazy person to everybody and ruin the energy around me when this is such a great moment, not only for Farm Aid's it's not just for you or for me, but it's for our band and our people and our loved ones, and like everyone else is joy filled, and we're bringing all that like grossness. And it's like, God, it was such a lesson for me of just letting go and letting it be what it's going to be, because the crowd really at the end of the day is going to determine kind of what the energy is anyway. You're not going to be able to create the energy for everybody. You can create it in a big way, but it's never going to be what you think it's going to be. And so it was. And another, you said the jumpsuit. I put so much pressure on myself to look a certain way. And I think the fact that she picked out that jumpsuit, it was hers. I was clothed in her, what is that word? Like, she sent me there. Like I was blessed, she blessed me and said, please go do this. And I think I just felt like I belonged, and I wasn't worried about as much of the materialistic stuff that was going on my outsides as I was on my insides. It was a great awakening. Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought it was so poignant that you did the show and you walked out and she's your grandmother and you're paying homage to her. But the coolest thing about that was you were wrapped in Loretta's jumpsuit from the 70s. Like you were wearing her jumpsuit on that stage and I mean, it's almost like she had her arms around you. She the whole show, the 4 songs you played, you were there wearing her history, her legacy. It's like almost like you had a Batman cape on is how I was looking at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting the jumpsuit on was a game changer. I mean, it really was. And I didn't even really love the jumpsuit. I was like, you sure about this? The fringe kind of points down to the hoo-ha, and like, it's like, really? I mean, it's paisley. The sleeves were big paisley, and it was orange. And I mean, man, it made a statement. You're not going to forget with that freaking fringed out orange jumpsuit. And that was sort of the point too. It's just like, bring it. Just if you're going to do it, do it. I'm not going to wear like the coal miner's daughter dress.
Listen, no one's going to forget that performance. All right. And especially what I think is really cool is just that you won't forget that performance because I mean, 20 years from now, you'll look at that jumpsuit and go, that jumpsuit was pretty badass. I mean, to me, it felt like you were putting on a Superman cape. Like when you came out, it was like, bang, you walked out. And
there it was.
It was pretty cool. It looked like
it was something. I'm going to steal it. Nobody knows that yet, but it's in the back of my closet. I'm not going to give it back.
Well, I think you've earned it.
I do too.
What about Unc at the museum? He seemed like the kind of guy that was just going to come get it 2 minutes after you were done.
I'm always surprised that he doesn't. I guess he trusts me to bring them back, and I always bring back the outfits. So far, I've been trustworthy. So I don't know. I don't know how it'll go from here.
Well, so I want to talk about your. There's so much I want to talk about. We'll get going because I know you got stuff going on. When you had to learn all Loretta's songs, you've been singing them since you were a kid. It's not like you had to learn them, but I use that term just for the layman out there that are listening about music. But when you learned Loretta's songs, I found like when I learned other musicians' songs to play covers, it taught me a little something about that musician that I might not have known just by listening to the music. So when you delved into Loretta's music, is there anything you learned from her that you didn't already know by just learning her songs?
Yeah. What a great question. Gosh, Chris, that's such a great question. Jack White had said something in her documentary, Still a Mountain Girl, that was on the Master series or whatever on PBS. He said, everybody thinks Loretta's sort of this dumb redneck, and she just kind of is, she talks about not being educated. She talks about being poor. But when you listen to her lyrics, you realize how smart and wise she really is. And I sort of took that. I just listened to him say that. But the more now I'm doing a full-on tribute show to her with her songs all the time, you really do realize how smart she was to put the way that she wrote together. People just don't even think like that. She has a song called One's on the Way. And she compares it to being a chicken in a chicken coop. This hen's done filled up her nest and she's ready to make a deal. So no, it's called She's Got the Pill. It's called The Pill, which was the song that was banned from the radio. And she's just, you have to listen to the lyrics of that song. And I started thinking, oh my God, this whole thing, this sort of like, I'm a hillbilly is true, but it's also part of her show in a way. And it gave me permission to still be able to kind of be a hillbilly that's learning words like folly from you at the beginning, but also writing that word down and knowing it, so you get to be both. Like you get to be smart and gather information and learn and always be learning, but you also are like, you can play the part too. So it's sort of this, does that make sense what I'm trying to say at all, Croce?
Listen, it makes total sense. And it's an incredible segue into my next question, which may not even merely be a question.
It may not even be a segue. I don't know.
Yeah. The thing that I absolutely, among many things that I love about you is that you are unflinchingly honest and open. Like you just said, oh, I write these words down that I don't know. Do you know how many people in the world today try to hide that stuff, especially in the world of social media, where everyone is looking for a gotcha moment, right? Everyone, especially for a public figure like you, everyone just wants to unearth something that's going to make them stand out for the flavor of the 5 minutes on Instagram and go viral or whatever. And you, what I think is so amazing is you completely obliterate that ammunition by opening it up yourself. You throw it all on the table. Here I am. Here's what I don't know. And here's what happened to me in my life. And nobody can hurt me now with it because I've already thrown it on the table. Like you diffuse the entire situation. How is that hard for you, or is that like therapy for you?
I appreciate you seeing that and saying that. Thank you, first of all. It can be polarizing, I mean, I definitely could have played the game all along and I think gone further in my career and gotten more and done more had I not done that. But how many people do you like that act that way? I mean, how we've been around the music business, the scene of all of it for a long time. And you see the 5-minute flavors, they go like that and they get big really fast, but they don't always last. And if I can't be who I am, I'm just not very good at playing the role of somebody else. But yeah, it's total therapy. I don't know. I think people around me also allow me the space to do that. And kind of back, it is a segue, because back to what you said about Meemaw, she is the exact same way with just telling the truth. I mean, I started reading Coal Miner's Daughter, not the movie, but the book. I'd never read the book before. And she talks about like my grandfather kicking a dog and him hitting her and cheating and the way that she would react. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe she's putting this stuff in writing. And it became this New York Times bestseller. Everybody sees this about our family. And then it became a movie. And it's like, she's just telling the truth and people love it. And so I don't know. I think maybe I was raised that way too, some. I don't know. That was a roundabout way to answer that one question. Is it hard or is it therapy? I think it's both.
Well, and that was my entire tie-in, is that Loretta did it. She was so profound and so ahead of the curve with her honesty that, having a song band, when did The Pill come out? Like 1966? Maybe before that, 64?
I don't know. She's the most banned music artist.
And
Loretta Lynn.
Say what you want about anything. That is rock and roll, man.
Amazing.
That is. And
that is cool as hell.
It bodes to my next thing that I read, which I loved. The quote you said where my end goal isn't to be a country singer, it's to be a truth teller.
Well, yeah, because I think it's the story that I want to tell more than sing the song at the end of the day.
I get that. And I absolutely love that. And what I think, and this is just an observation, and I could be completely off base, but I see the cool thing about doing this, having this talk with you, is that I got to go back and just look and read and then spend some time on your social media pages, because that's really the tell about an artist is I kind of go through what the people are talking about. And you have this special little streak that you can ride because you are super strong in your faith. You've been through recovery and addiction, and you've been super open about all that. And then you still have this humanity that a lot of country singers don't get, like license. I call it license because I think you've earned it, because like there isn't anyone that can say anything to you that you haven't already dealt with. So like for example, when the Dixie Chicks came out and talked about Bush, right? It ended their career. I think you say things in a way that is strong to your conviction, but not offensive to people. And you can say things in a way that I don't think other artists could pull off. And I marvel at that. What do you think? Do you believe that? Or do you think that I don't get that correct? Or does it scare the shit out of you?
I'm smiling and sort of laughing right now because this is something that my best friends and I talk about, because my political views, are going to be left, and they're going to be a lot different than probably a lot of my grandmother's followers. I mean, that most of them are very conservative, and I respect that. I have no judgment on them for that. But I'm very intentional about how I talk about things that have to do with politics, that have to do with racism or abortion or same-sex marriage or transsexual, just any of the kind of hot topics that people get so wound up about. I'm intentional about the way I talk about them, and it's very clear, where I stand, but I think as long as you don't disrespect people, I think the thing that the Dixie Chicks did, it's not that people cared if they agreed with Bush or not, or cared if they were Republican or Democrat. It's that they went to another country and said something about their president in sort of a negative way. And I try not to do stuff where I'm pointing the finger at other people, I guess. That may not have been what you're asking, but I do get a lot of stuff. I mean, we converted to Catholicism a year ago. And to be honest with you, I love the Catholic religion. It's beautiful. But at the end of the day, I love Jesus. And I could go to any church. I could become a Mormon and still believe in Jesus. But, do it to be in the religion. Check it out. Figure out. I don't know. And people just get fired up and they don't even know what Catholicism is. It's just, people are ready to fight. They're hurt people. They're ready to fight. They get fired up. And I'm not going to fight with anybody about any of it. I find people's pain when they bear their pain or they get mad, like that interests me. Like I want to know what broke them to be so just mean and like that. That's interesting to me. I want to help heal them. That's a good time.
And that's why I think that that is where the brilliance of Tayla Lynn comes in, because I think for me, what I learned about you in the past 2 weeks since I was preparing for this was that your struggles have given you like the mighty sword of Excalibur in your hand. I think you could have been a plumber and you'd still help a million people, because the way that your struggle and your battle and everything that you've overcome just runs like a fiber. Actually, it runs like a fire hose. It blasts so strong that I think that you have this delivery system that you use, and it's readily apparent that your message is to use yourself as the vessel to help other people with their shit.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
So you've been, like I said, you've been open, and you talked about, you got sober in 2004 and then you had a little slip and you got it sober in 2013, right? 2013?
I can't believe you can remember all that. You're probably looking at notes over to your right. I see you glancing, but you're doing good.
Yeah, but I have that in my head, just like I have your birthday and I have all that
you're
stuff.
So good.
Because those are big moments. And I kind of knew that before, but my notes are over there just to keep my brain going, because I wanted to ask the question correctly. And it's like, now that you're older, right? You have two killer kids. It's hilarious that I love their name, True Diamond and Scout. I mean, it's like I kind of felt like you had a couple horses, but it's like you knew. I have a friend that names his kids with really great names. I'm like, man, are you naming horses or are you naming children? But I think those names breed character. Like, those kids are going to be badasses when
they're a lot.
older,
Yeah. Scout called somebody an MFer the other day, and he goes to Catholic school. He called a kid an MFer, and I got called in to talk to the nuns about it. It was awesome.
Wow, nuns.
Yeah.
That takes me back to I was in Catholic school, Philadelphia Catholic school.
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay. Did it work?
They slapped the shit out of me.
They
back then.
can't do that anymore.
They would hit you in the head and smack you around.
Probably would help my kids. I mean, okay, so go ahead with the question. Sorry, go ahead. So,
when we talk about this for other people today, you were talking about people are hurting and people are mean and angry. And I think that too. I think it's disconcerting, right? Because when you can be going through an airport, you can be standing in a supermarket, and there's just some contentious discussion going on with somebody who's arguing about something. And it just feels very prevalent that there's a bubbling under the surface, right? So when you throw this stuff out there for people, does it make it easier for you to hang on to your sobriety and stuff because you're so allowed to talk about it in the way that you talk about it? Does it make it?
Yeah. When I relapsed, my first thought was, I have all these people that are following me because of sobriety, and how I'm going to let them down. That was one of my first thoughts when I relapsed. It was, over 8 years ago now, but that was definitely one of the first thoughts. And being able to share my sobriety, and it's almost like you go to a recovery meeting and, or something where you're sitting around with other people like you. And that's the whole thing. Secrets keep us sick, right? And so you get to share like the mind F that you go through every day, and what this alcoholism and addiction is. I mean, it's a disease, and how we cure that. And so I have found this a really great way of being able to share in a bigger way, and people relate to it. And it's been a godsend for me. Sometimes I wonder if I shouldn't do it, because if I were to relapse again, what does that say to people? Like, does it give them permission to relapse too? But it also gives me strength not to, it's like it's not just a black and white answer.
I think, if I may, because I'm not an addictive personality, so but I have a lot of friends who are, and I've lost a couple, and them too, that didn't make it from their addiction. But I found it really interesting. And I think, to your point, let me just get this out before I forget. You said, what does that say about me to my fans that are following me because of sobriety? And I don't use the word fan like that. I just mean people are looking up to you. So that's a lot of pressure on you. And to carry that, right? Like I'm this model citizen of sobriety, but I think when you relapsed, it said that you were human, right? You can succumb to this disease that you have, rather than fake it. And what I found really interesting was Dax Shepard was talking. Dax has a podcast.
I love it. It's so good.
Talks all the time. Yeah. So he talks all the time about his sobriety and how he screwed up. And he talked about a friend one time being at his house, and he was going through his bookshelf looking for a book to read, and he found Dax's journal of sobriety that he had, and he had all these dates in there that were crossed out.
Wow.
And they were all the dates that his rehab failed. And so Dax was really embarrassed and said, they're all my failure dates. And his buddy said, no, man, there's a date that isn't crossed out. So what that says to me is you never gave up.
Wow.
So,
I just got chills.
Like, it's a perspective, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at it like I failed, and other people around you, myself included, say, oh, she's trying again.
Yeah. Well, you get that perspective, I think, later though, when it happens, when you do break, and and you're in that moment, like Dax, says, and, he's very open about his relapses. And you just think, I'm a piece of shit. I'm always going to be this black sheep. And I still mess up today, and not in drugs and alcohol, but in other stuff, be it whatever you can do. If I do those things, I still am like, who is this person? I go out there and I talk about God and I talk about this, and then I'm out here behaving in this way, whether it's I'm spending $5,000 at Target that I don't have, or my husband's money, or whatever, just whatever you can think of. And still those self-hatred, that self-hate talk comes in. And going back to what you talked about earlier, instead of hiding that stuff anymore, I just come on and talk about that too. That way it's like, yes, what you're saying, Chris, is like, we are all, I'm sorry, I'm jacked up on the coffee now too. We are all human. And that relapse enabled me, or gave me the wisdom to go into my second son having a C-section and having this boob job, going, you know what? I can't have narcotics. There's got to be another way. How do we do this? Because the relapse started with the narcotics they gave me in the C-section with True. And yeah, so it's like, it gives you wisdom and like to go, okay, what can I do differently? And I know that if I act out enough, or call it sin if you want to, because I'm a Christian, if I sin enough times, then I'm going to hate myself so bad that the only relief is going to look like a drink or a pill. And then I lose everything. And so I'm able to catch myself if I'm going to call it sin, but call it for whatever you want. I know if you worship the tree, call it, I don't know, the leaves falling, whatever. But it's, if I mess up enough times to me, then I can finally get back to good by sharing it and getting it out. Secrets keep us sick. That's the most important thing I can leave you with, is to not keep that stuff inside.
You find all these comedic moments in drama, which I think is just a brilliant trait to do. Like, you turn something dramatic into something funny. Is that something you got from Loretta or your mom, Cindy?
Yeah, I would say, I wasn't around Meemaw growing up that much. My father is hilarious. My grandmother's hilarious. But my mom, she just laughed all the time. We just laughed all the time, unless we were crying, So that's how I found it in the drama, is that the only reason we would laugh is because there was so much drama growing up, probably.
Right. And that's a way through it, right? It's really all we can do.
Yeah, that's all I've ever used, I think, is that, or crack.
So, like...
Sorry. It's the truth.
Hey, and you're a truth teller. What is your, now that you're not drinking and all that stuff, what's your comfort food? What's a meal you go to for comfort food when Tayla's like...
Well, I don't eat healthy. But anyways, I hate healthy food. Listen, you probably like sitting out there in Mexico eating like the bark off trees, don't you? That's probably...
No, man, just give me a big tortilla with some beans and some avocado and a big old thing of hot sauce, and I can just... I can eat it every day.
I don't know.
Pizza's my go-to.
I was going to say pizza.
Pizza's my perfect food, but I can't get... There is shit pizza here. Everyone says, oh, this place makes the best pizza. They don't. They just don't.
You're from Philly. Nobody's going to have it.
Man.
Yeah. Speaking of Philly, I just had, and I sent you a message, the best Philly cheesesteak when I was in Philly shooting that. Well, I was in Jersey, actually. But close.
Either way.
I was in Philly, too. Anyway, had a Philly cheesesteak. I love those things. Those things are delicious. Delicious.
They are. And you just can't eat them anywhere else but there, though. You can't.
They don't taste the same.
They call them steak and cheese, and that's bullshit. Anyone that puts steak and cheese on a sign, just walk away.
So I was making a Philly cheesesteak for my family or somebody, and I added an egg. And they were like...
I was going to ask.
Yeah. And I didn't do it in Philadelphia. They were like, what are you doing? I was like, listen, one of my friends, he's straight up from Philly. This is how he makes them. I'm telling you, this is the way to go. They loved it.
Well, that is a secret that was only that was a Tayla cheesesteak, because I could
'cause
never
nobody
serve that to anybody else because I liked them, and people would kill me. Like, I'm going to get hate mail now because they said, you put an egg? That's like putting pineapple on pizza. So
everybody
hey,
was horrified when I brought it. Well, you and I can just like them till death because it's
but
way better that way.
Did they eat it? And did it taste good?
Yes.
Thank you.
How can you not like it?
Thank you. It's
There's
like, I mean, cheesesteak and eggs. Like, it's like, what's the difference between like having sausage with your egg in the morning?
There's no difference. People just we know what's right.
So your pizza's your food?
Yeah, pizza. And I'm really into ice cream right now. That's it. I mean, I guess so.
Do you cook? Or does John cook?
God. I mean, do I cook? I run yes. These kids, and they got, yes. I'm not as great of a dinner cook. I get up super early and do all the breakfast stuff. He's a better dinner cook, but I still am the one that makes it most of the time. I try to figure out ways to do meat on the grill. So I'm like, hey, do you want to grill this? That way I actually don't have to do anything except for like, chop up some sweet potatoes or something.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, listen, tell me what you've got going on. I hear that you got an album coming this summer. Is that the truth?
Yeah, we got a lot going on. I'm actually recording, I don't want to call it a gospel album, but it's about God and recovery. I'm doing that solo. I'm doing that at the end of May, which I'm really excited. I'm writing for that today, actually. And then Tayla Lynn, we have a record coming out this summer. We just did that video. That's why we were in Philly and Wildwood, New Jersey. We shot it there. On the boardwalk.
Shout out to Wildwood.
So I loved it. And we went to, you're going to know, the person you like and sound like, what's his name?
I'm not sure.
Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, okay.
Stone Pony.
Yeah, you went to the Stone Pony.
Yeah, we shot it there. We shot the video there and in Wildwood on the boardwalk. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't know anything about it because obviously, but it was very cool. I like
Legendary Club.
Club. Yeah. So I'm glad our producer, a director, he's from Philadelphia, so that was his
nice,
smart idea.
So you did the whole Philly representational thing. That was pretty cool.
We did the whole thing, yeah.
Nice.
And we ate a lot of pizza while we were there. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So you got the album coming out. You've got the Twitty and Lynn tour.
Our tour's going crazy.
All summer?
I mean, we're booked until January right now. We're gone, we're trying to do 10 dates a month, which doesn't sound like a lot when you say it like that, but you know how it is. I mean, you're gone from Thursday to Monday.
Sure.
And then I've got kids at home, and thank God my husband's such a badass, and he's so great with the kids like him better. So it's perfect that we had boys. And he's so supportive of the music, and he lives on the farm, which he loves, even though he's from Seattle. It's like this whole crazy thing. So it works out.
I was going to ask, he's from Seattle, so he's taken to farm life. You got cows, chickens, goats, horses.
Listen, I want to live in New York City, and like put me in Times Square.
Seriously?
I'm not done with the sentence. That is where I would thrive. And that is where my addiction would probably to shopping and all things I shouldn't do go crazy on the daily basis. But that to me sounds more fun. But living out here, we have 30 acres next to the Loretta Lynn Ranch. I never thought I would live out here. I always thought it was totally boring. Everybody thought it was so beautiful. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about the scenery. I don't care about being quiet and being in nature. Like, I got stuff to do. I'm busy. And now here I sit. I've lived here longer than we're here, almost 8 years. And it is so peaceful. And my children are so happy. I'm raising children I never would have thought I would raise them this way. And my husband's so lovely that it's sometimes God does for you what you cannot do for yourself. Because I never would have picked this out for myself. And it's so healing and it's wonderful.
Do you get time to write, or do you have to kind of squeeze your writing in when you're on the road, or like?
I do have to schedule it, but as somebody that just writes in your head, I'll do I'll write and put my voice memos and send it to one of my co-writers, or I would love to be able to write more, but the farm isn't what inspires me. Quiet is not what inspires me to write. I need a lot of action in order to get my brain quiet enough. Too much quiet.
Wow.
My brain goes crazy. If it's crazy on the outside, my brain goes quiet.
That's interesting. I'm the exact opposite. Like when I'm trying to record here in this space, the birds are chirping and I'm like, shut up.
It's driving you crazy.
Yeah. It's like, so I go for a drive. Like I go for a drive up the road. There's a road to a little town called San Javier. And it goes this windy road up into the mountains and you stop at this bluff and it is so quiet. It's like you're in a sensory deprivation tank.
I go crazy.
You can hear your heartbeat in your ears.
And that inspires
That's how quiet it is. I sit down and then it doesn't inspire me. It just gives me the space to actually hear my thoughts instead of the dogs barking and all that kind of stuff. So that's interesting because I was in New York and like it drives me crazy. That frenetic energy.
You can't take it.
At this point in my life, I can't do it. It's way too stimulating. But I need a healthy balance because I can't just sit in the woods and stare at a tree because you need input as a writer.
Yeah.
You have to observe, you have to hear people talk, you have to hear conversations. And that's what spurs my ideas. So I find it interesting that your brain goes quiet when it's louder. That's really interesting.
Well, I think that might be the ADHD, like literally the ADHD brain, like when it's too quiet, then it's
sure.
But I don't know. I don't like to write when I'm super happy either. So if I'm at the farm and I'm just watching the kids and everybody's happy and, feeding chickens and all that, and you're like, oh, thank you, Lord, for this day. The last thing I want to do is sit down and write a song. I just am more present. So give me, hellfire and brimstone and drama, then I can do it all day long.
Absolutely. I think the same way. I can't write, like Steve Martin used to say when he was playing the banjo, he's like, nobody can write a good song with a banjo. It's too freaking happy.
I love that.
Who's going to write a sad song with a banjo? Yeah. So I get that. So listen, I could talk to you all day. I know you have something coming up. So I really appreciate you spending the time with me. It's been great to catch up. It's so much that you have going on there. I'm so proud of you and so thrilled for your success and your killer family, and happy birthday, Loretta. So you're at your concert dates and stuff are at taylalynn.com, correct?
Yeah, they're at taylalynn.com, or you can check out twittyandlynn.com.
All right.
It's on both places. Yep.
And at Instagram at Tayla Lynn Finger.
Yes. Finger is my married last name. I know. And I can't take it off. I did it to be nice in the beginning. I was like, see, I use your last name. And then I got verified with it. So now that's it. Tayla Lynn Finger. Okay.
I love it.
So awesome. Who else could handle that last name, Chris? Thank God I had boys. Thank God. God.
Scout Finger.
Everyone's like, oh, why don't you name? Yeah. Why don't you name him Middle Finger? God, stupid. Sorry. Go ahead. You were going to say something probably profound.
No. It's been brilliant. So we will check you out on the road and check you out online. Keep doing what you're doing. I think it's brilliant. I think you're brilliant, and I appreciate you for everything you are.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening. It was great catching up with Tayla, and I hope you enjoyed it. Next Wednesday, episode number 5 drops, The Best Advice. It's going to be a solo episode. The best advice comes from people who don't give advice. Matthew McConaughey said that. So let's talk about giving advice. We all have that friend or family member. Their life's a bit of a mess. They're constantly embroiled in some sort of drama, and they come to you for advice. Do you give it? This is a difficult position to be in because you want to help, but you're reluctant to, give advice. Which is almost comical if you think about it, because so often we don't even have solutions to our own problems, yet we never seem to run out of solutions for other people. If you've been listening along to this point, let me know if you like the solo episodes or the guest episodes. I've been alternating between them, looking for that magic formula, but you're the one listening, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Drop us an email at hello@themindunset.com. And as always, if you like what you're hearing, subscribe, spread the word. The show doesn't go anywhere without you. You can find us at themindunset.com. And if you haven't already, make sure to follow us on Instagram at themindunset. Until next week, be nice, do good stuff.